I think he knows. So whatever you're set up and go on, we'll call the meeting to order.
Is that Michelle?
Yeah.
Is there
I realize that no one else can see Michelle online because I haven't done this.
You are a little under the weather, Michelle?
No, I was just breathing in dust. I'm on the farm in Pennsylvania.
Oh. Is Sarah coming tonight? Do we know?
She's joining at 6:30.
Okay.
Not waiting on her yet. Well, I'm not sure if James is coming to my learning.
I need to get the Wi-Fi. So what if I code in?
Is the what?
The Wi-Fi code. I think it's 1500 Colton. I think it's the address. Sorry. Oh, 1500 secured.
It's like, is this an old one? Is that why?
Like it's half the address and half the.
All right, you ready to rock and roll? Go ahead.
Your daughter's so cute.
She's a sweetheart. I was in chatty, good on. I learned all about her brothers and sisters. Oh, did you? Yes. Oh, they're quite a bit older. Yeah. They are. We started over again. They're like adult kids. That's brave, this one. That's a word for it. Yes. So, yeah.
Yeah, she asked how old my daughter that's at 29. She goes, oh, my brother, 25.
There's
Yeah, my
Michelle.
sister 20. Really?
Cross over to Michelle.
Yep.
All right. Oh, it looks like James is virtual too.
Good. Oh, my gosh. I
Okay.
didn't even recognize you. I had a shower at the end, so. Or am I aged that much since we lost that? Didn't even connect. I was like looking for you up there just now. So
To your left.
I'm impressed with that. Hello. It's been like a year or more, maybe. I know. Well, and more, because I think you were pregnant when I saw you in person the last time. Yeah, I was, I feel like I was like quite big as well. I must have been, I was rubbing my belly. That's what I remember because your husband made a comment. I remember, it's a long time ago. Yeah. Oh God. He's
And your
18
daughter's
now.
one.
All right, let's,
Oh my gosh. Sorry, Mr. G.
no, it's no more than it's like, don't want to interrupt your nice conversation, but yeah, we should call it in order. 5:38, and, go ahead and take the roll call.
All right, Jim Zarsky,
There.
Lisa Barnes.
Here.
Dodge Lau.
Here.
Nikki Hewitt. Here. Miles Hoffman.
Here.
Michelle Gazaric.
Here. Did you hear me?
He's on carpool, so.
Yeah, okay.
You said we are expecting some.
Yes, she plans to join around 6:30 or earlier if she can.
All right, so any comments on the agenda? Michelle, I did forward your note last Friday to Alexis, so that's fact. So,
Thank you. Thanks.
Working messaging.
so any other comments on the agenda? Feedback? Okay, so do we need I guess I have any motion to approve the agenda? Motion approved. Second. First, second. All in favor? Aye. Nays?
Aye.
Jeez, okay. Approval of the agenda. Okay, public comment. Okay, all right, we're waking up time, so. All right, and he's now we're on to updates, so. As you're taking a drink there, spotlight on you, Jen. Anything you want to share with us?
I can't think of anything. We're reading the comprehensive plan recommendations. Housing is a big part of that. We did pass a proclamation against connecting, Rocky Flats Trail through the Greenway, trail that the county is trying to approve for there to be access or connection from, the Marshall Mesa, and I call it the Dirty Bismarck because it's really like, but that's not what it's called. But to connect there, so I was really glad to see us do that since the Rocky Flats Stewardship Council dissolved, so there's not a lot of advocating against that. But I think having nuclear waste potentially coming into our communities is probably not a great thing, so.
Where's the trail supposed to go to? Secret?
It wouldn't be, so they wanted to connect, on Indiana across and potentially an underpass under, is it 1.8? Yeah, and that was a, like, plan that they would like to see done. I mean, eventually funding and things like that would have to come for it, but that was.
Like to go in that Coyote open space, that they're gonna.
No, further down, across from the open space that's on the other side of the
Dirty
market.
Bismarck.
Mhm.
But to tie in that trail
Yeah.
network, or are they gonna
Yes.
plow a trail through?
They wanted to do an underpass under the road to connect into that trail network.
Okay,
So
so like it wanted like that first parking lot.
something like that. I don't know exactly where on the segment of it, but on that south side of that Fulton Trail area.
So you passed a resolution
To,
against,
to oppose it, yes, yes.
so what are the chances that it won't happen?
Well, the county, because they got a bunch of pushback when they started talking about it, is holding some community open sessions to hear from residents. And I'm meeting with, city council members in Westminster there are people that were involved in the Rocky Flats Stewardship Council, and Westminster was the big, like, lead on really disbanding all that and saying this is all funded by the people who not in their, in their best interest for us to pretend like this isn't a toxic waste site. So I'll keep working with them, and then when the county starts to bring it up again, if they do, then we'll be, push on not letting them happen.
And if everybody hasn't seen that movie, The Half-Life,
Yeah,
I highly recommend it. And I bet that woman who was in the movie, she spoke when I saw it at the
She's
dairy.
a Superior resident.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sure she would speak anywhere, and so would that.
Yes.
Is that about Rocky Flats?
Yeah. Highly recommend it.
Yeah. I think that, it was happening, kind of the county was moving it through without, I think people just weren't paying attention. And then now that they are, it's like, hold on a second. So I'll be surprised if it passes. It's so out of alignment with other kinds, like environmental and sustainability stuff too. So I just don't understand who's the driver in trying to, like they've gotten so focused on trail connectivity that they miss this is also not a place where people can bring children and pets and stirring up dust with lakes and things. So
Pro just true connections?
what's that?
Is the pro just connecting the paths?
There's
economic benefit.
I keep going like, what is I'm missing something, right? Like, what is it? And I've not found it yet. And so I don't know. But I'll keep advocating. The town has made we are unanimous in saying we don't want this. And so I think as further things come along, we can talk about it.
What's going on, or is that about it?
I mean, I'm trying to think of things that would pertain to this, but I don't think so. No,
Anything regarding the airport?
no updates there. I was at the Consortium of Cities meeting last night, and Boulder is actually introducing, the city of Boulder is introducing essentially a way for people to upgrade to efficient heat pumps, things like that, where they have it as part of their electric bill. So they'll be getting, it's almost like adding a mortgage to your electric bill. Yeah, I didn't know about that. And I was like, oh, that's really awesome. Maybe you guys already knew about that, but I didn't. So I was like, that's amazing. Because you could actually do an upgrade to something where you otherwise couldn't afford it and have it broken down. And it turns over if someone buys your home, that it will now be theirs. So, I mean, we can like these comments. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I hope to see, more info on that. I don't know if that's something. They have a lot more.
It's just the financing piece that makes it difficult,
Yeah.
but it makes it way more accessible
Yeah.
for people, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
It sounds like something we should be communicating during the electrified.
well, it's only
It's only
for
for
city
city.
of
Yeah.
Boulder.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not for us.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
we'd like
Oh, for now.
Excel to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like the people that actually have your energy bill already,
Oh.
like have the big pockets.
Oh, City of Boulder's doing it.
It's City
We're
of
not.
Boulder doing it, which is why unfortunately,
Oh,
that'd be amazing.
Let's
because
talk about that.
Yeah, I can fill you guys in a little bit. That's an Excel program, but it's piloting in Boulder. They could, but there's also legislation that would allow all utilities to do it. So it would probably almost force Excel to expand that program. So this is a pilot project they're doing with Boulder, but it's through Excel.
Oh, even
So would
better.
it be possible that it would be available by summer or not? Or how long will it
No, probably. I mean, if they pass legislation, it'll be due, wouldn't be signed until summer, late summer. And then by the time I would expect it to be done, ready until the end of the year.
Yeah, but they're,
Yeah, it sounds quick too.
Well,
Usually those rollout pilot programs take a couple of years.
well, Boulder and Excel were button heads 15 years ago at the municipalization that's all.
2 years ago.
Well, we're still in.
Yeah.
They have,
It's just so,
they have like a stakeholder group with them as the result of ending municipalization.
oh, okay,
It still has to be a little more responsive, in
Got it.
theory at least, to them.
so, okay, so. All right, I guess town staff updates.
Great, so I had a couple of things that weren't in the update that I sent out, kind of related to what's going on at council. We need to schedule the ACES and council dinner.
Oh,
So I had a couple of dates that I wanted to run past people to see if you had a preference. I think April 28th or June 2nd would probably be our best one. So what they're doing now is before the actual council meetings, there's gonna be like an hour long, I think, dinner with each committee. So everyone's kind of vying for different spots, but I wanted to bring a couple options to ACES. So you guys could check calendars and see if you thought either or both of those, because of course we need it to be a time that works for you.
talk really quickly about that now, or?
I think so.
What were the dates that?
April 28th and June 2nd, I think are the best ones. And then if that doesn't work, I can email it.
I think
to
I'll be
you
away
or
June 2nd, but don't change it just for me.
Well, I think April probably is better just to avoid getting the summer schedules, right? Whereas June 2nd is after Memorial Day,
Yeah, sounds
so
good.
it's maybe getting. Well, I think Memorial Day is on the 26th, so it's actually the week after Memorial Day. So,
I
Oh,
vote
yes.
for April 28.
Yeah, same.
yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards too.
Okay.
If the majority chooses that, we can figure it out.
You may work.
Okay.
April's just hard.
Oh, it's-
Yeah, I mean, Earth Month,
Earth Month is just
yeah.
every weekend I'm doing something, so it's a little tough to find the time, but I will try.
Great.
Do we need a motion or anything on that, or you want to just,
I don't think you need a motion. I just wanted your feedback on it, so.
just see if we can schedule that?
Yeah, I will reach out to Michaela tomorrow to see if we can get that date, and then I will follow up with y'all via email, but I just, while you're all here, wanted to check.
What time would that be?
It would be 5 to 6, I think,
Yeah,
because it's before the board meeting.
yeah, I can't remember, if it's 5 to 6 or they were doing 5:30 to 6:30 and we were just starting to have that later. I think some people have a hard time getting there at 5,
Okay.
or maybe it was 6. The first hour was
Oh,
just,
yeah.
I don't remember going a lot early.
I remember calling, yeah, 5 sounds really, like 6 sounds
I
right.
think we just had it at the beginning of the meeting
Oh,
and then.
okay.
I just don't recall going.
That does feel early. I'll follow up with everyone via email. And then if that changes things for you at the timing, let me know.
Sounds good.
Doesn't matter, but just a heads up, I know I'll be out of town then, so it won't be there. But I'm probably the last, like, I'll know everything that you're gonna.
You're gonna know all of it.
It's fine.
You'll be there for the pre-meeting where we talk about what we're meeting about.
Yes.
And then as Jen mentioned, I just wanted to give an update on comp plan. As you know, ACES was engaged about that already. We're kind of doing a cycle of community engagement, committee engagement, and then bringing stuff to council. So it just went to council on Monday, but just gave their feedback on, you know, where things are at currently, to get feedback on the next round of engagement. They talked about the transportation plan as well. And so later in the summer or late spring, planning will come back to ACES for the next round of engagement, but just wanted you all to know that's happening. Couple updates on town facilities that you may have heard again going to council. So the operations maintenance facility that's going to be for our parks team and our public works team that they're building at the town yardway site. The construction and design piece of that went before council. They asked a lot of great sustainability questions. I feel like ACES would have been really proud of all the questions that they asked. So I am definitely involved in that process. We have asked their consultants to look at what the lead qualifications are going to meet are. I think consensus from council was that it may not be worth paying for that, you know, kind of brand name, especially for a non-public facing building. But we're gonna make sure that we know which of those efficiency pieces and other pieces that we're hitting still. We have asked them to look at electrification as well, and kind of like the different bids. So right now they were currently not considering electrifying, but they're gonna do heat pumps with natural gas backup and then all electric and bring those kind of quotes to the board. And then we were also asked to look at some of the building materials pieces. So we're seeing what we can find out on that side as well. So all sorts of different sustainability pieces coming into that design.
I think that was all Mike too. It was great. It's like, that's the lens that needs to be there. But it was like, oh, I would have not known to ask that. And so there's a whole round of exploration happening there because of it, which is very good. Very much. Yeah.
Yes, so very helpful to me, as you can imagine. It's not that we hadn't talked about these things ahead, but I think council direction really emphasized at least exploring those pieces up front. It has also been helpful for our parks team to know these questions are going to come up as they look at pool remodel things. So part of those conversations as well. And when we actually pick a consultant, all the other people.
Is that plural pools or just similar?
I think we're starting with North Pool. And then South Pool will happen at some point, but right now the kickoff is for North Pool. And they're looking at picking a consultant to help with that design and build.
And just to clarify, none of the council members were opposed to any of these things. It's just the cost conversation was the reason that it was like, hold on. So I think everybody wants to see that, but.
When they're pulling these quotes, are they pulling in potential IRA funding? Or where is that, like, you know?
We have asked them to look at the rebates. I think IRA is a little, like anything federal funded.
Is going to be assumed to be not right now?
I mean, you can't count on it, right? And so we've certainly asked for, as we're bringing these quotes, that they look at the Excel rebates in particular, which as you know, are significant right now. The other ones that we would potentially qualify for are IRA or direct pay, but all of that is, I don't think anyone's counting on that, so. Those would be nice surprises if we get them, but,
Factoring it up.
correct,
Yeah.
yes. So, but definitely looking, we've asked, that's another piece, thank you, that we've asked, that they show, because of certainly when you're looking at those cost differences, that can really at least bridge some of that gap.
Is the pool remodel literally just the pool, or is there, what else is tied to it besides?
There's a building and they may expand it a little bit, I think.
They're looking at potentially, like, the North Pole doesn't have like a kid thing, the storage upgraded, like locker room, shower, like facilities, a stand for the lifeguards, like it's all like a.
They're not gonna cover it, are they?
No.
Well, back a long time ago,
Yeah.
I feel like that was what the town was
To get
considering buying the rec center and all that.
and things like that.
I think that was an idea tossed around there a long time ago.
No, none of the bids that we got included covering it,
Okay.
and they were all just for various levels of like, what do you want to be here?
Okay,
And we're working with Flyers, who uses it, at like such a higher ratio than most people, so
Yeah.
trying to understand what their needs are to make sure that as it's built, that they have some storage, because they were keeping things in, so there's some input coming from various,
do you expect the perimeter to expand beyond basically the fence and the building? Like,
I don't think so, I didn't talk about that at all, I think it's just the footprint.
they're
of the
gonna keep the
actual
same footprint,
pool.
okay.
But I think they are looking like past the fence, there's solar there, they are like considering if they would expand that, obviously we're looking at solar with all of the.
Solar hot water, maybe?
They're trying to figure out what they can do, because we may also be like expanding the season a little bit for the pools, is my understanding,
Yeah.
and so there's a
We'd like
lot
to
of.
grab a little
factors.
and to try
Yeah.
to, but it's, I think the community outreach piece is the, like, for us right now is the most important part, like, tell us what you actually want to see here, and how you wanna use this space. Cause we have like a lot of good ideas, but it's not from the residents yet, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that community outreach one, does that go out, or has that gone out?
It is not yet,
Okay.
no, and they'll be big, like, you'll probably be like, please stop telling me to go to pool meetings, so you'll hear about it when it engages, just not
Yeah.
yet.
I just wanted ACES to be in the know early, because I think this is a big discussion with electrification and other things. We've talked about our quirky facilities, so as we build things new or remodel, just know that sustainability is being considered.
This is gonna be after this pool season, like,
Yes.
you're not doing
Not
it, yeah, we're gonna get through this pool season, the intent is to get all the work done before the next pool season.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
And then the last thing that Miles kind of previewed for us is that the rebates are live now, which is great for all of our electrification and efficiency pieces through Energy Smart. We're gonna be launching them in the e-newsletter for sustainability next week that goes out. And then we'll have it on our website and other places, and then we'll do a communications push. We just didn't want to compete with all the sustainability waste messaging that we're sending out right now. But of course, if someone is doing a project right now, they are live on Energy Smart, they can get those rebates. You don't need to wait for me to put it on the website. I just didn't want to be telling a bunch of people and then having them be looking for information that's not there yet. So coming soon.
Yeah, okay, all right, awesome. Get back to the agenda. All right, where are we? Okay, so, okay, discussions. I'm feeling time. Oh, okay, great. Okay, waste service update and March 15 event. Who's leading that?
Sorry.
Still you, okay, all right.
I just made it its own discussion item, just because obviously this has been a huge focus of sustainability staff right now, is launching this waste contract. That's gonna start on March 31st. I think this group is very aware of what's going on. But just wanted to thank the four of you that hosted office hours over the weekend. I think that sounded like that went really well.
It did, yeah.
Good. I think we had about 25 people today. You guys had 15 or something. We had about 15 before, so we've had really good engagement with people coming and asking questions. I think the message is getting out there, which is really great. And then there's gonna be just a fun celebration event on March 15th with Republic. It's gonna be a touch-a-truck here, so like very family friendly. Come see the EVs. They're gonna have, coloring books and kids things. There's gonna be free crepes and free hot drinks. So a reason for people to come.
Maybe it might be snowing.
Drive on.
Correct.
Okay, well, I'll let Nikki say it for me from now on.
No, I'm the old one now. I'll go add that to you.
But so we're hoping that'll just be a fun celebration for the community. Of course, I'll be here to answer questions. It's past the cart choice time, but just a fun event. And if ACES wants to do anything in particular there, that's also a possibility. You're welcome to. I know we've talked about compost caddies a little bit. Lisa brought hers, which is wonderful. So we could do a compost caddy giveaway. We could save those for other events. I think that it's open to, it's really just intended to be like a fun.
I think that would be a great day to give some compost caddies away.
Great.
Oh, yeah, good
I-
idea.
I agree. I agree. The sooner we can give them away, the better.
So Nicole is from Republic is the point person, right?
Correct.
How many addresses are in the database for changing over?
It's just over 1,000. It's like 1,093 is the latest
She's
count.
got her work cut out for her. I mean,
So as you can imagine, they don't hear from everybody, but yes, it's certainly a lot of people. We encourage them to do a form, which I think would have been better, but it's a call and email,
Why
which
didn't they do it?
I don't
Nobody
know
has
that. I can't.
does she give you an update on how many people have contacted her with the preference for the.
I mean, a vague update. We're at a couple hundred, so you read into what that means. I think she's a little overwhelmed. This is not Nicole's only job to hear from
But just a
Superior. and
little
what-
feedback on her. I just talked to one of my neighbors today
Okay,
and he was having trouble figuring out how to do it online, so he called her. He said she was great,
Oh,
answered
good.
all his
Okay,
questions.
not where I thought it was.
She was amazing.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I called her as well, same thing. She
Yeah,
answered all the questions.
and she didn't brush him off the phone or anything. He's a nice
Good.
guy and he was asking 20 questions and
Good.
he answered everything.
Okay, well, that is
Got it
wonderful to
signed up.
hear. Okay.
Yeah, so I think she's really good.
Great. Well, that's amazing feedback to hear. I'm really excited to hear that. I think once people, it's a lot of information. It only applies to about half of our town, so that's a little confusing for people to understand. Some people have multiple houses in Superior where it applies to one and not the other. A surprising amount of people have had that question.
Good luck.
Kind of a niche audience, but I get it. There's a lot going on. So I think people really are getting there.
One thing on the messaging I noticed
Yeah.
is that on the Facebook page, they showed a picture of Rock Creek when they're advertising the change in the trash contract.
It's like a standard Superior background.
Yeah, it was like a three back up the houses, the trail, and I'm like, you should probably be showing like a shot of downtown or Sagamore or something.
Oh, maybe.
For your
It could be confusing,
A
but
couple of board members met with the HOA
Mhm.
board members
Rock Creek.
a couple days, the Rock Creek HOA, but not full committee. It was just like a couple of us, a couple of them.
Boxing ring.
And discuss the trash stuff. And so I think I'm really glad that those discussions are happening because we hadn't been able to meet with them. And now there's some new members of the HOA board and
That's
we're
great.
amenable to talking about various options. But the trash thing did come up and they shared their concerns and we clarified some things with them. But I think all in all, it's a good indicator of getting where. Like,
Step one.
they weren't talking at all about it, and so now.
Yeah.
That's
I think
fantastic.
the biggest concerns are just that the people who are used to the 96 would have the fee increase, but I think the town, the response from the council members was just that like, we don't want to have a cost burden to people, but the intention isn't about just cost savings, it's about environmental. So I think they held the line on that issue and, yeah, it's an open conversation now. And I think they're intending to get the word out and start a camp PR, like addressing this because residents are asking, like, is it?
In Rock Creek?
Yeah,
Okay, are you
How
able to
much
share
does
who
it-
met?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure I could ask and find out, but I just got a debrief in an email from the mayor. I know it was the mayor and Neil Shaw.
Yeah.
And then I don't know who from the HOA board was there.
Do you know how much they pay now?
I feel like I should know this. I live there, but I don't
It's buried in our annual.
at all.
Yeah.
It's back, Michelle and I've been looking into this. Somebody recently quoted on the Facebook group that I run for Rock Creek, that it's $14.71 right now. Michelle, we believe it's gonna go up $3 a month next year.
A year.
and so, each year for the rest of the contract. So it'll be $17 next year and then $20 the year after that.
Per month.
Per month, yeah. Now, that's not including compost, obviously.
Because
Which has gone up even more, is my understanding.
Yeah, I pay $270 a year for compost. So my total waste bill is about $33, $34.
That levelized
So,
it right there.
Oh, it makes it
You can't go
a
up.
massive drop.
I think some of the concerns I've heard from my neighbors, because we don't have yard waste, is the cost increase.
Mhm.
Because they think they need a big, giant
Yeah.
trash bin, which I say, most of the people only have
Yeah.
2 people in their house. I'm like, why do you need such a huge?
Most of the compost that I do every week.
You know, it's not my issue,
Yeah.
but I'm just telling you what I'm hearing.
No, I appreciate it.
Apparently the HOA did a community survey on trash needs like 3 or 4 years ago.
We've done a couple.
They said they have over 1,000 responses, so that I think they're gonna work on making sure that they provide the info from it.
Rock Creek HOA did a survey, that doesn't sound accurate. I was actually thinking of the one that ACES did
Cause
for
we did
the
it.
lower, the non-Rock Creek areas, but I've lived there for a while, so you, I don't, unless it.
I know, I've been
Except
here, I was
funny
like,
or
I
something, not
missed
really.
it, I guess, but
Yeah.
That
maybe
may
it's just written that incorrectly or,
Yeah,
but that's, apparently there's some
I don't know, it says the HOA indicated they prefer.
But,
Melissa.
yeah, well, we can get with,
We see.
I think we can promote another one to go out.
Yeah, that makes
A new
sense.
fresh one to go out that can reach residents,
Mhm.
because their communications are not always the best either.
So back on May 15th.
Yes, so I'm curious. I
March
would love to
15th.
give you compost containers, but I would love to talk about which ones you guys like. These are just 3 options based on what I have in a conversation with Michelle and what I could find available online. We can get multiple options.
Yeah, I saw that after I ordered mine from Amazon.
Which yours looks
This
really
cute
nice.
little one.
too.
It came with bags and it came with an extra charcoal filter. It's got a
Okay.
charcoal filter for the smell. It's got a top. It's got a handle. I thought it was kind
Nice
of
one
cute.
as well.
But it was $25.
I mean,
That's in line with the,
that's usually about what they cost unless you go with the plastic bucket style, which is the cheapest. I guess I just have questions about if that's something that people would be excited about versus one of these other slightly.
Well, I guess I'm just
nicer
curious
ones.
about the aesthetics, you know, like for me, I'm stored underneath my sink, but. Does paying for the prettiness, is that gonna really end up underneath the sink, and then it doesn't really matter if it's plastic or stainless steel?
I think it's less the prettiness, more the smell, the cleanability. I think that was a good thing to put on there.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind if it, my parents have the one of the plastic cheap one,
Yeah,
and it just, you wash it, but no, you can't really clean scrapped plastic.
yeah.
Like it just builds into there and eventually it starts to smell and
Why
whatnot.
don't you
So
put a little liner on there or bag?
they don't. Some people do. You can do it with it,
Yeah. I
but the
don't-
liners also break.
Yeah.
They
Well, they
They
compost.
compost.
Yeah, so you gotta.
So you gotta do it quick.
Every 5 6 days, yeah.
I use the ones on the left up there,
Okay.
the metal bin, keep them on my counter. I've got 2. I rotate them every so often.
Okay.
They're really not hard to clean, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Michelle told me it
Michelle
was
told
hard
me
to
that,
clean.
Michelle lied.
Yeah,
No,
that's hard to, well, I'll let Michelle speak for herself.
it's,
She's right here.
are you saying, I'm gonna go ahead and answer because I know what she's gonna say. The top is hard to clean, like the top part that sits in because it has a charcoal filter and you might need to scrape around it. Once in a while you do a deep clean on it, it's fine. Mine does not smell in the least. And
Those are nice looking. I
Yeah.
like the idea of the charcoal filter.
Yeah.
And definitely the top.
Yep.
Because when I had mine in Boulder, it was just this little, like, it was almost like a strawberry basket,
Oh,
you know, with the
Yeah.
holes inside, and I had a little bag in it and fruit flies everywhere. It smelled, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Um,
Michelle's got
So
input.
I'm sure Michelle.
Go ahead, Michelle.
The part that's hard to clean on the lid, once you pull out the black charcoal filter, which is very easy to clean with just soap and water and let it air dry. It's the lid has an angle to where that filter fits in. And you actually have to put a towel in there to get it dry or let it sit out and air dry because there's no hole at the lowest point of that ridge that the charcoal filter gets on. That's the only, so I wanted to be really honest with Alexis when she presented this to say that there is that problem, but that is a minor problem. I agree with Miles. That's the kind I have. My daughter bought me it. I used to use a Rubbermaid container under my sink, but I prefer the silver one because you can wash it and the smells don't get embedded in the plastic like Miles said.
yeah.
What is
Silicone's worse. Silicone is worse for smells than plastic in the middle. So that one should definitely be out.
Mine doesn't smell at all, and I don't use bags or anything.
Well, I have so many silicone based like products like that because of Chase.
Yeah. No, I know.
And it just absorbs all of the smell. I can never clean it properly. But maybe I'm just extra sensitive.
No, I mean, this is why I wanted to bring it to ACES
Is this for like a giveaway or whether?
This is a giveaway. I'm suggesting we buy some, at least like I don't want to buy too many because my office is the only storage place. So I'd like to do them when we're going to give them out and then we can see what people like also, if you wanted to do multiple ones.
Do you need approval for the budget to do this?
It can come from the ACES budget or we have the Boulder County funding for all compost related things, so I can buy it out of that.
Oh, okay.
How much money do you have for that?
$30,000.
Okay, so let's get
Well,
30,000.
no, but it has to, so we're gonna talk about it
I know.
next, what all the things that coverage, but
Well,
yeah, we have money.
I like to stick my steel one personally, because
Yeah.
you can keep it on your counter and it's, you know, it's more.
It's not as
aesthetically
heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amazon
agree.
has a stainless steel one that's 1 gallon with the lid with the charcoal filter for $20.
Oh, well,
It's a
maybe I
little
can look
cheaper.
around on the
Yeah.
Amazon ones.
So do you need
It stays-
approval for $500 or something to do this?
I mean, if ACES wants to contribute, you guys certainly
Well,
can.
Oh, actually,
Well,
the same
Boulder
one, it
County's
comes in
gonna
a
pick up-
gallon.
Well, let's
Yeah.
roll it into our next conversation, because
Okay.
I'd like to know what the other things we can spend the money on, because there's probably lots of education and materials
Mhm.
that should be, come out of that same 30,000. I'm not saying we can't take that, but let's hear all the options.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure,
Yeah.
okay, but so it sounds
Yeah.
like stainless steel is what you all want, just that one?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
What time is the event on the 15th?
It is from 12 to 2, so kind of that lunch hour for people to come. And even if it's cold, you know, we figured warm food, warm drinks, a little sweet, little savory, something for everyone.
We need to figure out from ACES who needs to be there right now.
I guess that is
Can
the
you-
question is, and we could talk about the events for now, is would anybody like to come? Are you able to come? Certainly not mandatory, but it's a fun celebratory
Is it
thing. I will be
March
there.
15th.
March, what? No, March 15th, yeah, it's
12 to 2?
Saturday.
I can make it.
Yeah, I can
12
be
to
there.
1.
12 to 2.
I'm out of town.
I mean,
so unfortunately, I can't.
I can be there. I think I'm probably can be there.
I could be there.
Chase is gonna love the EV truck.
I
He
know,
can go
I
inside
know.
and pretend to drive it.
I know.
Yeah.
And they do have fun child stuff, so I just wanted to check, is there anything else? I couldn't really think of anything else to make this event anything bigger or more than it is, but I just thought I'd ask cases. It's here.
Okay.
So they're gonna park outside with the truck, the coffee truck, and then the crepe truck.
Right, the crepe is fine. The crepe truck.
So we're hoping it's gonna be nice enough outside.
Is it in the middle
12
of
to
the
2.
12 to 2?
Are you gonna use the banner?
Oh, maybe, if you can help me come set it up.
I'd be happy to.
Great, I love that.
I'm really excited about using that.
We're gonna go find it after this.
Okay.
So does ACES need to formally have?
No, Michelle's got her hand up.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, I didn't see that. Thanks.
Yep.
Go ahead, Michelle.
I would just like to add on that March 15th event, that would be the time to have the messaging on how to be most successful with your food waste and scraps on your counter to deter fruit flies, smells, etc. So I think a one pager geared towards that. We're just spoon feeding the information right before people are starting to collect the food scraps, which I think is really important. One of the biggest things, if they leave their lid open and a fly lands, lays their eggs, they have maggots in their 35-gallon compost bin, is to not rinse it out, not spray it with Clorox, let the maggots stay in there. They will go to the compost facility. They will do their job. Just let it be. It's a really important life cycle of the decomposers that we need to communicate and educate. The way to prevent that is to close the lid. But as we know with kids, as things get tossed and tipped, they might get askew. The lid might not fit properly. Sometimes they crack. You need to tape it. All of this successful information we've been through with Boulder 7 years ago, 8 years ago. We've been through it with Louisville and Lafayette, and it's time now to start introducing it to the town of Superior residents.
I like that idea, like, instead of people just grabbing the shiny free things from the counter, they should have a slip in it.
Up to,
Yeah,
How to use this container, best practices and stuff.
but definitely best practices and guidelines.
Does Michelle, do you guys have a printout already that we can build?
No, but
off
I can-
of from-
I can help circulate a draft, and those of you that compost, you can add to it, and we can nail it. We can do this.
Yeah, that'd be
Can
great.
you, questions I've been getting is, can you put meat and
Yes.
yes.
you can put chicken bones
Yes.
Yes.
and fat from
Anything that was grown or living can go into it.
ground,
Anything organic.
So,
Just not paper.
not paper towels like.
Not anything that's been processed like paper towels.
I'm surprised there's not like a flyer. There's gotta be a flyer. I
There
mean,
is.
but it's outdated.
Well, no, I mean, we have the guidelines that are, so we can put those in there too. This is why we're gonna talk about next. I think good.
Yeah.
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 We're gonna do a whole compost education campaign following
And there's
this,
this,
so we're gonna talk about that next, but I think that one pager, maybe that could be an action item that we had on there.
The other thing I was gonna say, Michelle, do you think we could get Kim to come and do Green Star Schools like table set up there as well? Cause then all the kids will run up to her and give her hugs.
I think that would be great. And our community doesn't realize the investment our town is making in our schools and our students and
Yeah,
our future residents. So I think that's a really important opportunity to connect those dots.
I'll
Because it
send a
makes,
note to Kim and Kathy.
And Green Star Schools is gonna be in the next Hello Superior. It's a very charming, cute little article about how they're doing this in schools. So we'll look for that in April, right after this launches.
That's awesome. Parents will be asking their kids about it then.
Yeah, and the kids are so enthusiastic. There's child quotes in there that are very interesting.
Oh.
They had to leave before the kindergartners came out.
Oh.
My daughter, Kim was like framing my daughter to be the center of it, so. That's right.
Okay. So I thought that's not the case, but there was lots of cute children involved. So. All right,
All right, so 2 action items on there. Michelle's can circulate a draft and I can reach out to Kim and Kathy. Like,
that'd be great. Yeah, perfect.
sounds good.
All right, well, should I just roll right into
Yeah,
compost?
just keep on going.
So related to all of this waste contract stuff, as you all know, based on ACES feedback, we applied for compost messaging and behavior change for our Boulder County grant. So I've kind of divided it into 3 buckets essentially, well, 4 if you count compost caddies, 3 buckets of work. One is we have already got a videographer on board to do a series of videos. So we got them on board before all of this because we do want to make one just about the 3-cart program. That's kind of evergreen that we can put out there that explains like, what is this? What's the deal? What can you expect? Just kind of a short explainer video. Then they're going to do a series just on compost that will play into the messaging from a behavior change consultant. So working on that scope and then plan to send that out to BIT, who presented to ACES before, and then a couple other consulting firms as well to get the right person on board to help us do all the different pieces of what resonates with the people. We're not really aiming for the people who are like super on board with composting, and we're not aiming for the people who say, I would never ever do this. I think there's a large group in the middle who doesn't understand that food scrap composting is important. We've heard a lot of just like, I don't have a yard, so why would I have compost? People who just aren't aware of it being a new service, all of these things.
And they don't really know how to do it because they haven't been ever done.
Yeah, so there's a lot to learn. And so I think there's going to be a number of different messagings. I know that ACES already kind of started brainstorming at this at the office hours. We'd love to bring someone in to look at, our questionnaire results, maybe do like their own focus groups or other things, like take all of the different data points available and stakeholder engagement, and then really try and figure out what the best messaging that would resonate is. And then help us design kind of how would we roll that out as a campaign. As you all, I think, know with behavior change, there's some like social norming pieces. So whether that's yard signs and eco leaders, whether that's more compost caddy giveaways, whether that's messaging based, kind of all those pieces. And then we'll have social media videos that go along with that. So working on a whole campaign side of things, and then also working on highlighting compost, because I was trying to think food scraps are wonderful, but I think the like more glamorous part of compost is, if you will, is like when you're planting with compost and you get to grow something. And thinking especially about ACES this year and our focus on equity, thinking about people who don't necessarily have gardens, but might want to be able to touch some dirt, grow something cool. We're adding on a workshop to the Electrification Expo called Renewable Soils. We're going to talk a lot about compost, why it's important. We're going to give away free starts to people and show them how to plant them in pots where they could live in the pots, and they're all going to be plants that will do well in pots, and it's going to be herbs as well as vegetables, because there's some like dwarf tomatoes and other small vegetables that you can actually grow really successfully in containers. So we're going to partner with EcoCycle.
Expensive.
Yeah, well, good thing we have a lot of money, and we actually found someone in Superior, Michelle.
No, I mean
so-
to buy in the store, they're expensive, so it'd be a good thing
Yeah.
to grow and in your apartment
Yes.
if you're don't have a lot of money.
Yes, so this was the other equity piece, right? Like it can be really expensive, the soil's expensive, the pot's expensive, the start's expensive. And so I want to do 2 1-hour workshops to try and spread it out as much as possible. Again, like emphasize this composting is cool message, but also really do something I think valuable for our community and help people who may not have access to a garden or growing food just as it is, be able to do that successfully at their house.
That's
So
great.
that's my 3 to 4 part.
The other question I've gotten is where does our food scraps and compost go? What's the facility do? How do they do it?
So it all goes to A1 Organics, which is out in Keensburg. So it's way out east.
Oh, out east.
And hopefully at some point in the future, Boulder County continues to explore the feasibility of a Boulder County compost site. So hopefully there in the future will be one closer to us. But they take waste basically from everyone in the Front Range region almost. So that's where all of Denver's waste goes. That's where everyone in Boulder County's waste goes. And it's just the biggest compost processing site, commercial compost. So they heat it up really, really hot so that it kills all those pathogens so that they can take dairy, meat, all those things that you wouldn't want to put in your backyard.
Yeah.
Will that be included in the video, that kind of show the whole life cycle of compost from the kitchen to the facility?
I think it depends. So I think we're gonna have about 4 videos to work with. And I think it's gonna be a question where we really wanna dovetail with that behavior change piece. And maybe, how compost is made will really resonate with people, but I think what we're hiring, the most expensive part of this is gonna be hiring the behavior change people to come in and really help us assess what resonates with people who are kind of on the fence about compost or neutral.
Right.
And like, what's the most important education piece? Because we're not gonna stop educating people about compost, right? Like,
Yeah,
contamination is obviously super important. We want it to be a clean product. But I think a lot of people, compost can mean a lot of things. It can mean what you do in your backyard. It can mean what you put on your plants. It can mean the action that we do in our kitchen. I think that there's a little confusion for people around what it is. And so I'm not sure.
Even if we
exactly
don't
what
have, the person that asked me about where to go and how to make this gets into the technical details. I think most people won't care about that, but they will care about what's the end product.
So,
Exactly.
So having some example of the compost that you can use.
so A1 has a YouTube channel, so you can go there and look
Oh,
at videos of the processing. and
Send
kind
that
of
to my
everything. So
technical friend.
That's cool.
I don't want to rebuild.
Thanks,
the wheel. I'm
Miles.
assuming this. Huh?
That I was gonna say thank you, Miles, for pointing that out. That's really helpful, and I've shared that with many people, and they understand it afterwards. So I think that's a big resource that's already there that we just need to link to.
I didn't realize there's heating up the composting process. How much energy does that take? And what type of fuel are they using for that?
It's it's done with the bacteria that's decomposing the food, but it has to get up to 140 degrees.
So it's a natural heat.
It's a natural heat of the compost.
I think they're actually
Only
burning it through
But
an
it's-
oven.
It's really important that the person that Alexis mentioned that she's getting on May 15th from EcoCycle Reckermeyer has been doing this for a long time. It's really important to heat it at with a certain ratio of the greens to the browns, the nitrogen enriched food to the browns. If you don't kill the pathogens. And this is why backyard composting has to be done accurately, because you could still end up with a pile of food scraps that look brown but did not heat up, and now you've got E. coli growing in there because somebody put a dog poop bag in there or something like that, or a cat pooped in somebody's compost pile. So there is definitely a huge education piece, but we can't do it overnight. And so getting people excited about the climate change participation that they're doing by composting, I think, is one of the best behavior changes, and I think that will come out in some of the research that Alexis is funding. So I thank you for that. I just want to bring up two quick things that will come out of more people learning to do this. One of the things is they're going to start asking, and so we want to be ready. They're going to start asking, all right, if I'm composting, what about the commercial businesses in town? Are the restaurants composting? Is Whole Foods composting? Is Safeway composting their scraps that they cull from their produce? So just wanted you to be aware that this will probably come in conversation, and somewhere down the road, we'll want to have our messages ready to answer those questions. And the other piece that people will ask is, where can I buy the compost that comes from A1? And ideally, if everybody composted and everybody bought a bag of that compost, which you can get sometimes at Home Depot, they'll get a shipment in. Lowe's used to carry it when Lowe's was open in Louisville. but you can also order it online. I think you can get it in, possibly at ACE. But if everyone spread one bag of compost on our open space or their yard or their backyard or under their tree, we can draw down a lot of carbon from the atmosphere. So eventually we're going to need to make that climate connection to using finished compost that comes from their food scraps.
Okay, that sounds good, Michelle.
When I lived in Sunnyvale, they let residents go get compost for free.
Yeah,
I mean, if we're putting into the compost cycle, it'd be great if Superior.
we technically have that over at the yard waste. It's not compost, but the yard waste is, huh?
So,
Oh, go ahead, you jump in.
sorry, they do a small giveaway in spring. That's the part I forgot to talk about, is that we're actually paying for a second load this year, so we can promote free compost as well.
Cool.
But then there's the yard waste stuff. Is that there?
Oh, the mulch is there year round,
Yeah, the
yeah.
mulch, yeah. They cut up all the yard waste and then they put piles of it over there. Right against
Is
the
that for
fence.
gardens and whatnot, mulch, or is that for to put on top?
Landscaping for water retention and other.
Yeah, like around trees and
But
stuff,
you wouldn't necessarily put that in.
You wouldn't plant with it, no.
like rose bushes or trees and stuff like
You
that.
would, you could cover your garden with that wooden mulch, and that wooden mulch also is fungal food, so it attracts the fungal feeders,
Yeah.
which you want also in your soil food web. So yes, we can use that wooden mulch that's currently right now at the yard waste on your gardens around your seedlings.
Right. It's not part of the soil that is the nutrient
Correct.
that feeds it.
Correct.
But we are increasing the compost, because again, just
Yeah.
every touch point, I think, with
Mhm.
people where they have positive feelings about compost helps all of it, right?
So I live in Rock Creek. I don't compost. If I started, where do I take it?
You can just text me.
Mile.
No, like there's.
You can take it to his house.
Like, what, that's the part.
So
people
that's the
ask,
there-
like,
there's-
Where do
there's-
I, what do I do with this?
So you need to call Waste Connections, you
Yeah.
need to tell them you live in Rock Creek, you need to tell them you want to compost, they'll drop off a 96-gallon bin, that's the only option you have. And it is $270 for the year to compost, addition to what you're already paying for,
Well, you can do it yourself next.
it's a very large bin.
Or
Or
you
you
can
can
take
just
it to
take it to Matt's
EcoCycle
house.
to Charm.
Right.
And drop it off there, or you can find
can
someone
find
who's
somebody
gonna
who's
have it
already-
now and share their bin.
That's
I think summarize where do I take it? That's the
Yeah,
part.
you
where
know,
I was like, oh,
If you're taking it somewhere to drop it, that's not somebody's house, is EcoCycle.
Yeah. Where's that?
In Boulder, it's like 63rd and around that.
drive.
I mean, it's like 12 minutes, it's not as far as you.
Well, I work with T Boulder, so I go to Boulder.
Oh,
You
That's
take
not
plastic
complicated.
bags, your scrap metal and your electronics all.
It's also then $3 every time you go up there, and, you know, there's other little barriers in there.
And if you work for the city, do you not have compost at work?
For C Boulder?
Yeah.
No,
Somewhere you do.
Really?
I work in the military part of C Boulder.
Okay, I was thinking of.
They have some-
They're
We have
anti-compost.
recycled bin, like we have different material recycling
Mhm.
bins there, but there's not, well, we don't have food, like we don't have a
Yeah.
compost.
The other option I know some people do here is they'll go down to Whole Foods, even here in Superior, and they have a compost bin out in front of the building.
Oh.
And they will take your compost and drop it in there. I can't
I don't
validate it
know if
or.
they're composting though, for real, that's not what I would
Okay.
recommend you
I
do.
can find out. I work.
I would say just.
Oh, you do?
Give me your,
You
give me
know,
your email.
they're actually composting, because they used to, but I've heard at least that they're not, but I
Okay,
don't know if that's
They
true.
also put receipts in the compost.
So,
Okay.
well,
Anyway,
I think if that piece, for especially people in Rock Creek, that
mhm.
the option for the bin, but also the, what do you do with it? And you've already said that and I wasn't paying attention,
it's,
so I wasn't ready for it yet.
it came from town communication.
This is the hang up for me, is like, what do I do with
Yeah.
this now?
Yeah,
It came from town communications. The HOA, I don't believe has ever sent anything out in regards to composting.
What volume container are you recommending to people for composting?
On the town contract with options,
Yeah,
35 gallons. I mean, so no yard, 35 gallons, no doubt.
okay.
If you have a yard, then it kind of depends on whether you leave your leaves or you rake your leaves or you want to take them to the town drop-off center. There's all kinds of space constraints. It really is what you need it for.
Yeah.
But for
Most
just
people
not
go for 35.
35 gallon is
Yeah.
probably the right size.
Is that still way too big from your,
Yes.
the volume?
It is.
Okay.
I'm gonna go
it
wait.
depends on your yard, because I mean, I have the biggest size of my house, because I have so much yard waste.
But in the winter, you don't have as much, right?
No, but then
It
it
doesn't mean you
cleans
can't
up.
put up a park
Yeah,
every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks or every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
and it's just food waste in the winter, you know?
In the winter, it freezes and doesn't smell, so it's really not a big deal to leave it out there. In the summer, you want to get rid of your compost every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they come every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just before I forget, on this wider campaign, there's actually a really excellent NGO called the Waste Resources Action Programme, right? They were founded in the UK, but they have a US presence. But they have so many tools that you can use, and it's for businesses that are reducing food waste and for municipalities as well. So, I mean,
What's it called?
WRAP.
Will you send that to ACES?
Yeah, I can send it round.
WRA.
And they're fantastic. They really are. And they've got so many useful, they've got like data capture sheets. They've got, you know, tools to quantify kind of financial benefits of reducing food waste for municipalities. It's really handy. So just pointing it out, and I'll share it around.
Thank you.
All
So
right.
that's kind of the end of our time limit on compost.
Can I ask one thing really quickly?
Okay.
So for these videos, we're gonna be filming them on the 21st, and we really need
21st.
21st of February for not the compost ones, but just the first introductory one. And we really need some shots in someone's like bright kitchen with a person that might wanna do this.
My kitchen is not bright.
Yeah, my kitchen's sad and dark.
Yes, mine too.
Nice picture.
Sad and
but-
dark.
I wanna go in on a organization. Yeah.
Can we delay the week and I'll give it in?
I can't delay it because of just our time milestone, but really,
Oh, Michelle.
I'm looking at Michelle to see if she wants to be in these videos.
You can use my kitchen, but I fly back that night, so I'm not home, but you can use my kitchen.
Your kitchen.
I mean, it could be my kitchen,
I'll be out of town.
but I really need like a person, and not anyone feeling really excited.
James, nominate him. Was that-
Mickey is the cutest.
I think maybe get one of the town council folks, Mike or Neil
I
or.
act like a bit shy, like when it comes to filming on stage.
But you're so cute.
What about Mike's kitchen?
What is that?
Does he have a big
I
kitchen?
don't know.
Putting in the compost?
Yeah.
Is that really how you're
Maybe
feeling?
like someone like
So he do
Maybe
it.
just today.
trying to give a little flavor to like not just driving around, like not just bins, right? Like
Yeah.
someone actually composting, right?
That would be Miles.
I wish I could do it. I got girls that like doing that sort of thing, but I'm out of town.
This makes me very sad.
Can it be two people? Can
Alexis, you can use my kitchen and my silver bin is right on there.
I love this.
Okay, we
So
can
we're
get
gonna have- Nikki will do it if she has a friend.
Oh, yeah,
That's
if
what I'm
Sarah does it, I'm putting Sarah in because she was supposed to join and she hasn't, right?
Okay, yeah, no, she hasn't yet, so Sarah
I'm
and
putting
Nikki, and
Yeah.
then Mike is maybe a backup unless Jen.
So Sarah will use Michelle's kitchen?
Let me get back.
But I can't
Let's
use
think
my
about the
kitchen.
mayor. I think he has a big kitchen. And
Okay,
it would be good to put someone that people might recognize in there.
I mean, I kind of love.
How they feel about the mayor.
Yeah.
Tell him you can't wear his Dodgers hat though, because you don't want people from
Is
California.
anybody's like
He can wear a Giants hat. though.
outgoing from the superior leadership council?
I don't know, that might be another of my questions, I think he's the
That's
silk.
I thought they'd get someone younger.
Than me?
I give him my card.
Well, yeah.
She's young.
Okay.
Some English lady telling us what to do.
Oh my god. I will follow up with our principals
Sorry.
and our backups.
Since you volunteered.
Oh,
that's
I think you're cute
Okay.
and young.
Yes, you're cute. Yes, you're cute.
Oh, that's a big shit. I mean, I'm not respect.
Yeah, she.
See, I'll be in the video.
I was like thinking like 18, that's what something like that.
Sarah just joined us.
Sarah, you got volunteered for something?
Congrats, Sarah. You're around on the 21st of February, right?
Yeah, there we go.
Hi, everyone.
Maybe Sarah.
What am I doing?
Sarah and Nick.
What's up?
You'll get the script in the mail.
Okay, great.
There's a filming requirement for composting. Well, yeah, and you, I wrote you in, basically. With
Okay,
me.
that sounds good. 21st is a Friday, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I can be there.
Great.
Awesome, that's great.
Okay, amazing. Well, I will follow up with all of our principals and backups and maybe Michelle for her kitchen.
I mean, my daughter actually is watching our house, so but that might be weird. I think she's in school, so maybe not. Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Okay,
Now
so
you
we're
can
good with
move on.
all those discussions. Okay, so now on to ACES 2025 event participation. We got a nice spreadsheet to go with that.
Do you have a nice spreadsheet? Can we share that?
We had a column or two.
Just a casual amount of events as always, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
And so I think we wanted to bring back this discussion, number one, to kind of see what ACES might want to participate in, not with the thought that you need to participate in all of these events, but to kind of narrow it down, to figure out maybe a point person, and then I think Michelle wanted to talk about messaging for the various events as well, so.
So then we want to like assign like an ACES lead.
Would be
Was that
ideal.
the goal of this next 25 minutes?
Yeah, and just to talk about how you want to approach events this year, since there are a lot.
Okay,
So do you?
well, we can just start at the top, right?
Yep.
Do you want to add a column so we can put a name? I mean, you got.
You just type next to that.
Yeah, sure.
What's the difference in the coloring? Is there a significant?
Oh, there is. So the green ones are ones that sustainability puts on by ourselves. And then the red are the biggest ones, I think. And then black are just the other town events. So they were, Michaela's, oh, I think it's on, oh, I guess I took out the legends. So sorry about that. So waste contract public meetings, you all already did, which is amazing. And we already talked a little bit about the 15th. So I think we can pop down to hard to recycle, which is gonna be on Saturday, April 12th. And I really only need like 1 to 2 volunteers, but it is often helpful to have a couple other people there to help talk to residents or help direct people.
You can put me down for that one. So 9 to 1.
9 to 1, yep.
I usually,
We're doing.
Alexis, I'm usually there helping EcoCycle.
Okay. Great. And then I think Michaela's changing Arbor Day a little bit this year, like she talked about. Does ACES want a booth at Arbor Day? It's gonna be smaller, I think, and more focused on the tree planting and less focused on all the booths.
I don't think we, I definitely can't do that.
I'm out of town that day, so I'm out.
Yeah, I think we pass on that one unless somebody really wants to.
Okay. I mean, I think there's a lot to participate in, so probably conserving your
Conservative.
enthusiasm for
Can I-
that would be
Well, that
good.
day's also Earth Day every day, and there's a Boulder High School's Climate Summit that day.
Yep.
Do you want to put a pass or something in there, so you don't look at this and be like, oh, did we forget to go over that, or NA, or I don't know.
Sure, but Michelle, I think, was trying to say something, so before I do.
How we help on that day is I usually share our sustainability action plan with OSAC and the wildlife encouragement team, and they know that we have the natural systems and regeneration on increasing pollinator presence, reducing pesticides. So that's how we help in an inadvertent way. We help by educating people that are the presenters on what our sustainability action plan is around the pollinators and the pesticide reduction in pesticide usage. Because that's what they're really talking about, is increasing wildlife and native habitats.
Great.
Can we add an event to this? I know we're trying to whittle them down, but I wanted to add and I'll talk about it later, right at the end of our agenda. But there's the Superior event that's taking place on March the 14th with the Chamber of Commerce. And I chatted to Leslie yesterday about having a booth there for ACES. Great. So, I just want to make sure we don't.
You can right click on the row and then.
Yeah.
I know, that's what I was trying to do.
It was.
Well, right click on the nine.
Oh, on the next one.
And then say insert.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, because we've now added a sustainability award, business award, so I think it would be important that we.
Where's
Do
that
you know
one
what
now?
date that is?
14th of March.
Yeah, that makes so much sense because.
Where's that one now?
It's at, is it Interlochen
Yeah, I think
Hotel?
it is at the, in the August.
Yeah.
It's a Friday, is it during the day? Is it a night?
Yeah, it's like all day. Like,
It's like a multi-conference.
It's
day.
like a convention.
it's got a little expo.
That makes sense though, because if the businesses
Yeah,
don't have the connection to learn how to do it better.
yeah.
It was a really cool thought.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah,
So we'll be back to the electrification.
so we're back to the expo that I mentioned a little bit. So the electrification expo, we're gonna take over the community center just like we did last year, do the ride and drive, do the EV showcase, do all the electrification piece, and then in the Long's Peak room in the back, we'll do that renewable soils compost workshop.
Mhm.
And just have them going at the same time, and my hope is that it'll also kind of increase the flow of both, you know, kind of people who come for the different parts, learning about the other part as well. So it's probably like, what I guess are our biggest.
Could be a big row.
I'll be there. I can make that.
Yeah, you'd be a good spokesperson going through the,
Yes.
in all her lately.
Going through the learning curve.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And this year, I would love to have some people come tell their story very briefly on stage. And because I think that's social norming and that like sharing and, you know, piece. And then going back to the booth and people can come talk to you about their questions or like what they learned from your stuff.
Yeah, I'm happy to help. I mean, I would like to get more involved in electrification in general, so that'd be, I'm on it. Okay.
Are we collaborating with the other sustainability committees on this?
Yes.
So is there a chance one or two from those might
Yeah, I think it makes sense for.
come
Yeah.
speak too?
Yes, definitely. But I think if anyone else is willing to, like you were showing off your car last time.
I'll have my car there, but I'll be at the Energy Smart booth
Okay,
too, so I'll be there.
but I'll put you here with energy.
Yeah.
Didn't Lisa bring her electric car last?
Yep.
I'm gonna be in Peru.
Oh, okay.
Can your car come?
Sure. I'll give it a piece.
You wanna borrow
In the
car?
garage cook.
Michelle?
I'll be there helping with the renewable soils.
Oh, yeah,
I don't.
yeah. Okay.
So how many people are like, I'm bad, but you can use whatever.
My kitchen.
Oh my God,
Take my daughter.
Okay, National Trails Day. Lisa was there last year.
Well, it's a little disappointing.
What angle were we promoting there last year?
We just had our booth and that's the first time I had done a booth and I was the only one there.
Yeah.
I mean, people came over and spun the wheel and we talked about weight a lot, but they weren't that interested. They were more interested in the goats and the,
I'll leave your dog
Rides.
along the trail.
No, nobody listened to that part.
Okay. What?
speaking of dog food, can we put that in our compost bin? No, no can do. I put it in my toilet.
You can take it to the dog park, right? Is it the Altria dog park down there?
And do they take it to Avon?
No, yeah, it's a different process. You have to get we have a contract to have dog waste composted.
Okay. Well, I put mine in my toilet anyway. I think that's very sustainable.
That's a new one to me.
Yeah, it's next level.
Yeah,
Pretty
next
impressive.
level.
I take the little bag,
I think your dog.
Yeah.
put it in there and I'll
That
rinse
makes
it out and put that in.
I mean,
Better than putting it in the
it's
trash.
not a good use of our time, Lisa. We can skip that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah, I would skip it.
Okay, skip it. And now we're on to the concert series.
And I don't think those are actually super relevant. I think they're gonna do the zero waste piece with the cups, the reusable cups, but unless ACES really wanted, I don't think there's so much booths at those.
I was gonna say, what booths are ever set up, or I mean, I would never miss a chance to share the sustainability plan, like
Sure,
if there's QR code, place to scan it, or an info booth for the town, that we could have a presence there, but not people like.
Yeah.
wheel or anything.
so I think 4th of July is right, because it's such a big one.
I guess I'll probably be.
I should be around.
Yeah.
You probably put me there.
Put me there.
Maybe we have enough names or we have some redundancy in case trips or whatever come up.
I'm definitely away, so I'm not.
Okay, yeah, we all have plans, right? Are you being here?
It's
That's
the hottest event of the year.
other than.
We just come back from Europe, so I'd probably be like tired.
You world traveler, you?
I know.
A lot of
So
trips.
jealous.
I'm gonna be
Excited.
gone May, June, July.
That sounds fantastic. Okay, so the concert series, like completely zero or last minute, they need help or? I mean, the only thing I could see there is kind of like the July 4th thing where you have sorting and people directing where to recycle, we can do a compost, do a landfill, but yeah.
I think they're gonna do the cups and they'll have like a couple of the zero waste volunteers, so someone could go train them or help with that, but I don't think ACES has to, it's not gonna be like a booth.
Is there, I know they get food trucks for that concert series, like, is there a way to query filtered food trucks that have like sustainable packaging and compostable plates and that sort of thing?
You can email that to Michaela as your final, probably last call this month for new event ideas for the year.
Yeah.
But we can,
And hey, Jim, remember
Yeah.
you were pushing for those food trucks to get electric generators, not gasoline powered or diesel powered? And doesn't Dr.
Well,
Cobb
yeah.
have something available for that, Alexis?
rack does regional air quality. They're trying to work on that, but we don't have the power is the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, you need like a 50 amp 240 circuit then on there. Yeah, like,
We don't have
like
it.
plug-in friendly zones for food trucks, like locally and county-wide is, you know, you can probably count on one hand the number of places where food trucks gonna come and go with Superior.
And food trucks have become complicated because compostable ware is no longer compostable unless you.
Well, no, I get that, but it's just as opposed to like styrofoam, plastic.
I think if you-
Compostable.
One thing I've seen is like promoting more handheld or stick-based foods or something that doesn't require a
Like corn
container.
dogs.
Right.
The corn dog truck.
Yeah. Something like that. Oh, man.
An ice cream cone.
Yeah.
Those are nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Ice cream.
Have you ever been to a concert?
Yeah.
Has it been outside concerts?
Been to lots of concerts.
And the teriyaki beef, no, on the skewer.
Anyway, it's-
Wine dish.
I'll see you.
You don't
All
want
right,
it.
let's talk. There's probably some questions to ask.
They're
I agree with no styrofoam.
nostalgic for.
But really, the fumes are kind of a big deal because, not, there's nothing we do about the show, but yeah, I mean, you got the generators and people and. A lot of people taking their food and going someplace, they're going like 10 feet away to the grass to sit down.
There could be a stipulation, and I don't know, you could suggest, Michaela, that we pay a premium for anybody who brings their own electric generator. I know that like Beast Kitchen, I don't know if you guys have ever followed them. They've got a food truck. He has a truck with panels on the roof where that actually produces most of the energy they need for daytime. At night, they have to have a gas generator that turns on,
Yeah.
but like they've built it out to be a self-sustaining truck for the most part.
That's nice.
So there's a couple of those out there, so we could try and find them.
Yeah.
Well, email Michaela your feedback if you have any other event feedback.
Okay.
Chili fashion.
Chili. That's a tough one.
I'm gonna be in
I don't want to.
Switzerland.
No.
Just hearing Lisa.
I know.
great travel.
I never got chocolate for the next meeting. Is a requirement.
Mhm.
I just hope it's not hot.
I know, me too.
It's a bummer to eat chili when it's 90 degrees.
You know, it needs to be like an October, November festival. It's too hot.
I mean, I did the last one, I think,
Mhm.
so I can do this one.
You can toss my name on there for now.
I'm probably.
Yeah.
Can Michelle do that one?
Yes,
Michelle, will you be here?
I think so. So I'm putting it on my calendar.
Oktoberfest?
So we're changing Ecotoberfest this year with the collaboration between the cities.
Okay.
It just got really big and really burdensome. We were spending like hundreds of staff hours on it because it grew so big.
Oh, okay.
It got so intense. So we're gonna do just the costume exchange. Cause when we narrow down like the really action oriented sustainability part, collecting costumes that people might otherwise send to their thrift store, or their kids grew out of, or whatever else. And, repurposing them, giving them back, everything else was the part we really wanted to keep. So I think we're looking to do that maybe at First Friday in Louisville instead. So I don't know that it will necessarily, there may or may not be a booth for that. We're still working on the details, but it's gonna be a little different this year.
You mean Ecotoberfest will be completely, just be skipped?
Skip.
Completely gone.
For now, I mean, it just the staff burden, like we don't have, it wasn't something put on by our events team, and it was basically like last year was Aurelia's full-time job for a couple months. Like it just got so big with coordinating hundreds of vendors and everything else, and it was a good thing to like add the exposure for, but we had to kind of hone in on, we've added so many events with the expo and everything else that like, what do we need to hone in on that really helps people take action, connects them to information. So looking for a way to kind of build onto an existing municipal event, where people are gonna come and keep that part, and we might still have a couple booths like for committees, so kind of TBD on that one, I guess.
Is the farmer's market's gonna be on the concert series days? Cause there's 6 farmer's markets. I just don't know.
I'm not
I mean,
sure.
those are town events that I'm not.
I don't think they're gonna be
I-
on the concert series. I think Michaela got a different date because some of the farmers go to Boulder on Wednesday and they go to Boulder on Saturday and they go to Louisville on Saturday. So I think she got a different day, like Thursday or something. I don't know what it is.
I just see maybe, I don't know if there'd be alignment, but it's like food focused. And so or maybe some alignment with the composting or just like educational.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah.
New, so.
Yeah.
Tabling at farmers markets is a really good connection for our mission and the people that go.
Like you guys need like 8 more committee members?
Yes. So just all the events.
So many events.
Well, so we actually, we got a note from Melissa Cates. I don't remember if she was here when you were here, if you guys were left, or if she was just here before, but she used to be on ACES, but she left. She's actually in town for 6 months and wants to volunteer as much as she can while she's here. So we can go toss her name on everything up there.
Okay.
Are we getting another member to replace Mike?
Oh, I believe that's coming up.
Interview.
The ACES or the interviews for committees. Okay. I think
Someone will tell us when they're coming, but I don't know anything yet.
so at least one person has applied and reached out. I believe the applications are due at the end of this month. So I don't think it's too late if you all know anyone else. Thank you for that reminder. And then I believe at one of the March meetings is when there's interviews.
It's usually the meeting after the close of the applications.
And I think there's a new process where they're gonna send stuff to the committees as well. Is that what you recall?
I know that they were gonna do that for, the silk. Just because they were having some struggles with students that were just trying to put things on their resume. So they wanted to really like vet people to make sure that it,
High school building?
yeah.
Yeah, I was there like 3 meetings.
Mm.
Got a
Yeah.
picture of the daily camera.
I didn't,
Serious?
oh man.
Do you guys look at the daily camera?
I didn't know if the process had changed for all the committees. Maybe it has. It makes sense because like we only get a few minutes with them.
Right.
And we, have some questions to ask. And maybe if you're the council member on that committee, you have more questions to ask.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost like a prerequisite to come to a meeting and meet us. and talk to them.
I agree with this.
I think some of that went away. I think it used to be that way, but they were having a hard time filling seats, so they were kind of just like.
Boosting up the-
Like, oh, thank you. But we can do better than that, I think. So I'll clarify. I don't know if it was for everyone.
I think it is. So I think
We'll know better than I do.
I talked to Michaela about it, and then I don't have it written anywhere, so I can't remember all the things, but
I'm gonna
believe.
trust your memory on this one.
Yeah, I think there's a new process where ACES will have more of a role in saying yes or no, or especially if there's multiple candidates giving feedback.
think last time we got the resumes had, or their applications, as I recall. We got Sarah's and the other person's, and we sent feedback. I can't remember. I do remember.
I'll update you, but
Okay.
I believe that if
Good.
you know anyone who wants to join or you can encourage to join, please do now. And then I believe they're selecting someone new in March.
Okay.
All right, back to this.
Back to this, we're so close, okay.
No, we didn't.
I think it's,
I actually thought we're invited to volunteer.
you are invited, I think it's on here because you're invited, you don't have to take
Okay,
volunteer section.
Yeah, that was fun.
Get a meal and hang out.
Yes. So just mark your calendars if you'd like to go to that, and then the 2 December events.
Well, that was fun.
Those are really-
Lisa and I did, yeah, we just really needed 2 people for each shift. Luckily, our spouses kind of jumped in and helped out.
Yeah.
Gotta love a spouse.
I know. Yeah,
Voluntold to
I know,
get in there.
yeah. It's a
Oh, yeah, I should probably help on that one again.
I mean, especially if you're gonna have the wheel, like you have to have someone dedicated to the wheel, someone dedicated to the other non-wheel stuff.
Well, the digital bank might be around to do the wheel on its own, remember?
We're gonna
Oh,
go
really? You
find this banner and figure it out right now.
Digitalize the wheel.
Oh, they don't.
And then will it send out the emails, the text to the people?
So it's like a slot machine thing.
I think it's slot machine.
Let's see. I have to like log into the software.
Let's get the AI.
I know, we need to figure it out.
You could probably down for 13.
Okay.
Yeah, I can help
It's
too.
good to build something.
And what you was saying?
The assistant IT bizarre, I'll
Yeah.
put my name down.
Okay.
I had an idea we discussed in our resources meeting that.
Yeah, that one's.
I think Bazaar has 2 Z's too.
Oh,
Oh, was it 2 A's?
Oh, was
Oh,
the city,
it might be.
sister city one, was that?
It is.
We left it come to that.
Oh, my goodness.
Bazaar.
Okay.
I knew something was missing.
well, I think this is a good start, and then I think, I don't know if we have the time to get into it tonight on the messaging piece. Jim?
No, that's
No,
not.
That's weird.
Well, that was, it's hard that. So,
We can table the messaging. I really appreciate Lisa Barnes giving her input. And if everybody else can just take a look at the spreadsheet and do the same like Lisa did and add comments, that was really helpful, Lisa. Thank you.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, well, the messaging also ties into if we want to purchase any giveaways, right, too? So that usually is a longer discussion.
Yeah, and so we do still have some reusable bags, we have some of the Excel swag. And then I think we've pretty much used up all the other stuff, so we'll buy some compost caddies, and then I think as we get further in the compost campaign parts, that'll also maybe shape some things we may want to give away or encourage people.
And the reusable, gift wrap was very big hit.
Wow.
at the- Yeah. Didn't you think?
Yeah, it was.
People
Yeah, the fancy
got
cloth.
into that. In fact, one woman texted me after, she goes, oh, I already went home, here's my address, could you drop it off?
Oh.
So I dropped it off.
Oh, it's so nice.
So nice of you. I was like, well, we usually don't do this, but she was so excited.
Okay.
I took it to her, she was like, oh, I'm so excited.
All right, so we got participation covered.
I think so, yeah, thank you, everyone.
So on to water conservation.
Wow.
So, I'll keep it quick. Basically, I met with Alexis here a couple months ago, kind of discussed what steps do we need to take to kind of advance water conservation and kind of build some momentum around that. And she suggested getting together with like, the park and, OSAC committees and kind of comparing thoughts with them on water conservation and kind of building some momentum to then eventually kind of take that to the town board. And,
I like that.
you guys have heard my spiel many times, I don't need to get into it. But I was gonna propose me meeting with the chairs of those 2 committees. Just for easier path to picking a date that works instead of trying to pick a date that works for, 30 people. But you'd all be welcome, once we get a date and a time set, maybe we pick a place like Pat's or something kind of casual, like it doesn't need to be in a room like this. And just kind of talk through the things that we've been tossing around the last few years around water conservation ideas and how to minimize our water.
And I know my husband would love to participate in that. He's on the planning commission.
Okay.
He's not on any of those committees.
Well, I kind of defer to you and
That's
maybe
his-
you, like what other groups would, I was thinking just the outdoor sustainable groups, but maybe some other.
Second parks.
I said Osakan Parks, yeah.
Well, planning commission makes sense too, from that lens, I mean,
That was, his profession.
I guess, I think buildings when I think planning commission.
Oh,
And the water conservation I'm talking about is more of the irrigation piece and the non-essential turf. And those types of systems, that's the focus, is more irrigation.
Mm.
But buildings can't, since it's certainly be a part of it too, I guess.
Does planning cover like urban planning in terms of beyond the buildings though?
Yeah.
Like
So do they,
we do,
like,
it's the zoning, it's the
zoning.
requirements for.
do they cover parks and that sort of thing too?
Yes, I mean, when a park is gonna be put in, they review everything about like runoff and where,
Okay.
so all things attached to any kind of infrastructure. So, I mean, that would be, especially if it's something that he did for a living, it might be worth it. They would definitely be involved in like long-term,
Mhm.
like a basin or anything like they would be
Yeah.
the first point
Long-term
before
plan.
us.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well then maybe that makes sense then,
Yeah.
yeah.
We just get what they've vetted.
Yeah.
And then we look at it.
so
So
I wouldn't necessarily, plan a meeting around him, but if you want to invite him,
Well,
he'd probably want
it
to.
sounds like you have something to say.
Well, I just was gonna suggest, like, I think kind of some of the parts that you're talking about would be helpful to talk about before town budget. Cause I think there's some big projects, like what we do with the medians in Rock Creek Parkway, like the roadway is definitely the focus, but if ACES would wanna advocate for, doing median sooner or something like that, there's obviously budget concerns with that. So I think that could be really helpful. I just wanna give you an update as well.
Okay, yeah.
Because as you know, I'm always trying
Yeah.
to pull together cross-departmental stakeholders on this. So I was able to get together with Leslie, our Parks Director, Matt, Rarick, who you've met before, who does all of the irrigation in the parks. We brought together our GIS person, Alex Hafling, from planning. And then our grants person, and we did start to look at all the spots that they've kind of identified as priorities or places that they would consider moving turf from.
Okay.
So again, looking at like what are our opportunity areas rather than like the big picture down, like what are the areas, and I mean, it's 5 years or more till we could remove all of that anyway.
Easily.
But we started to kind of identify and create a map of what those are. And so then also Brooke can help us look for opportunities that match what we actually want to do. Because that's also something with grants is sometimes we get these great ideas and it sounds really cool, but it doesn't match up with what we're actually looking for in terms of funding.
Mhm.
So looking to accelerate from the grant side. And then we are gonna apply hopefully tomorrow for a grant for technical assistance to help us kind of look at all this holistically and create another roadmap, if you will, of like funding identification, like mapping our opportunity areas, looking at like holistically all the things we're trying to do with irrigation upgrades and looking for up to 250 hours of technical assistance from WaterWise to help us create like a roadmap of how we might do that.
Well, that
That's
sounds really
amazing.
good, actually, so I'll.
That's amazing. Well done.
So I don't need more, I guess.
No, I mean, we still do, and I have to say, like, the pressure from ACES really helps, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that idea that you all had to try to figure out how we could do some sort of mapping. Cause basically what happens is we've done, we know that there's gonna be more medians, for example,
Yeah.
that we wanna do. But every time we do a median project, we're almost starting from scratch. And so we're like, how do we make this more efficient and take the pieces? We also want it to look cohesive across
Yeah.
town.
Yeah.
So how do we take the pieces that make sense? There's gonna be unique concerns for each one. But how do we take some of the design pieces or learning pieces or efficiency pieces, and hopefully it gets less expensive each time if you're doing it in a more strategic approach. So we're looking for some outside help.
Well, yeah, that was one of our ideas as a landscape architect that
Mhm.
specializes in municipal water use reduction.
Mhm.
And that can, like you said, they're an architect, they're used to cohesiveness, maybe give you replicable design changes, you know, that look good.
So we're pitching all of this as part of
Okay.
our application, and then we'll see, we thought it was most helpful, like all of those pieces of a roadmap, like help us identify funding. Help us, you know, put together the vision of kind of like where we've been and where we're going,
Yeah.
help us kind of prioritize, just because a lot of this is in people's heads, but so we're trying to kind of create a document that's more strategic.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we get that support, but they were very encouraging when we talked to them for applying for something like this, so fingers crossed, I think that would get us really far, because part of what happens is everyone's really busy with their roles that they're doing, right? Like Matt's out there making sure the grass is watered, and Leslie is like redoing pools and doing everything that she's doing, and Brooke's helping us apply for all of the grants that we do, and so putting a little focus and strategy behind this, hopefully will propel that action that you're looking for.
Well, is there anything that me or us meeting with the other committees can help you all with?
I mean, I think, like I said, there's always budget pieces to this, and, you know, we have to slice that budget a lot of different ways, so I think, you know, for example, Rock Creek Parkway is for sure something that's gonna be looked at as part of this next budget. And I don't think that there's really funding to do the medians right now, but of course, everyone would like to, because that water also destroys the roads.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, I think advocating for things like that as part of the budget is a great role for ACES. I think, you know, talking to those other committees, I still think that if you want to have conversations with like the other chairs to see if this sort of thing is on their radar, or they have other thoughts, I still think that's,
Yeah, just compare thoughts.
yeah.
Okay, but since it's gonna be at least 3, I guess we will have to pick a date, announce the meeting and all that stuff, right?
I mean, I think if you're gonna have an official meeting, I think if you're just trying to meet with the chairs and it's not more than 2. Well, I don't know,
Maybe
I was gonna say,
From the same committee though, like.
right, if there was
We
only.
could have 2 from us, 2 from Park, 2 from OSAC.
Oh, okay.
That's what I pictured.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was
Chairs.
just 3
You're not
in
gonna be discussing agenda items, like it's not a 3 from this committee.
Okay,
Yeah.
3 makes the meeting from.
Mhm. And you couldn't decide, like, you can't decide on behalf of ACES, but you could at least get their thoughts and like do that. Are they talking about this? Is this
Yeah.
something they wanna, you know,
It's like
You
subcommittee work.
yeah.
Yeah, well, and then they'll take it back to their committees too, right? So you then have 3 committees talking about this.
Yeah.
That's,
Can you remind me, on the town dashboard, is water a metric for like how many gallons we use for recycled and, you know, fresh water and whatnot?
Yeah, so water is a metric. It's a really difficult metric as a straight reduction, because depending on your baseline year, right? You have a really wet year, looks like you're doing an amazing job conserving water. That's nothing that we actually did to take action. And same with the dry year, it looks like, oh, we're doing so poorly on this. So we're trying to look for other metrics, like, when we are replacing spray heads with drip, that's a huge savings. And then for all this turf removal, we can quantify square footage of turf and water savings associated with that. So trying to like link it a little more closely to the actions, because I think some of that sustainability plan, it sounds right on paper, and then when you actually try and look at what that metric means, it's
But
not.
isn't there a way to correlate the amount of rainfall or snow or whatever versus, you know, water usage?
It might be a bit
it's
complicated.
just very complicated. It's a lot easier to show the actions taken in water, just because.
Yeah, but how do you know if you're being successful or not? I mean,
Just by doing the actions themselves. So if you're replacing a spray irrigation head, as you mentioned, with a drip irrigation head, that 1-for-1 change, you can say per minute, we're saving this much water because we switched from this head to this head. Because it regulates the flow.
so we can't quantify it on the dashboard.
I mean, I think we do have those water numbers from the water reports, but it also gets tricky when we build, like, new people are moving into downtown.
Right.
And so that's more water users, and, you know, like, it's not
Yeah.
exactly getting at the
Per
action.
capita or whatever for household.
And so some people, like, Erie measures per capita, and they look like they're doing an amazing job because, and they are doing a lot of great things with water, but they also have a huge influx of population all the time. So just from that population influx, so this is something we wrestle with a lot with the dashboard is, you know, data is telling a specific story, but which pieces kind of you're picking out. And so we're trying to really make sure that we're linking things to action to show if we're being successful on the parts that we can control.
Right, for sure.
So,
well, not to take too much more time here, but, I was kind of bringing this up to kind of get permission, I guess, from you all. And again, once a
Probably skip Mike, because he's more into the water treatment.
That's fine, but once the date and the time is set, I'm happy to let you guys all know, and you're welcome to attend.
Sounds good.
But yeah, I wanted not to have to coordinate 20 schedules, so.
Yeah.
Great.
And if it's gonna be more than two people from ACES, then we will have to make an official meeting and we can just have
Well,
it.
I won't know if they show up. Because I'll let them know
Well,
what's
why don't you
happening, and I don't have to ask no RSVP.
Or I guess, is there another person that's really enthusiastic that would
No,
want?
exactly.
Michelle was. Michelle was,
Okay,
I am.
Yeah,
But Jim, go ahead and schedule the meeting with your schedule.
okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we're trying to keep the
Yeah,
agenda moving. I guess the only action item is you can just send me the two chairs.
Yeah.
email addresses, because I know that's not posted on the town website. I'll introduce myself and then I guess we'll just talk and see what they're thinking and just go from there.
yeah, I think that's a great starting point, and then,
Okay, and then I can kind of hopefully do it before the next meeting and report back, so.
optimistically, I'll say.
Sorry, we have another meeting at 7:30, so I have to go.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you.
all right,
Seriously,
you're busy, busy.
I mean, you know me on Facebook.
Thursday.
I mean-
Oh, I'm gonna announce, to the entire town to just bring our compost tea.
That's fine. Be a first come, first load.
Next is the ACES working groups. We kind of touched on the topic last time, and we touched everybody's memory that we all agree that, yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag on whether they're working or not. We schematically talked about maybe a new model of, if there's some action items that we want to have a side discussion on, that maybe we just meet, half hour before the ACES meeting, since a lot of people have that Thursday night blocked out to begin with. And I think we just wanted to, I don't know, some of us, at least me, maybe Alexis, kind of felt like it wasn't like we kind of see, had a final decision on this. So I think, now that it's been a month, just wanted to see, Sarah, Michelle as well, what you guys' final thoughts were and how we want to move forward with the working groups.
I like the idea of having it all on one
Yeah.
day and having like an hour or half an hour before. I mean, I would prefer having it before rather than after, because I have commitments and I prefer to have it before. But I know a lot of people have jobs that they have
Yeah.
to rush from.
Yeah.
So it's just if that's workable for the committee. I think we probably need an hour to be safe.
An hour, okay.
Because I personally, I think there's probably a lot to discuss, and there are people that are on different, jumping across a few different teams.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we're going to coordinate that, because if we were all in one separate team, then we could have like breakouts.
Yeah.
But Michelle's on all three committees, and
I think the thought was to dissolve all three committees.
Yeah, but-
Just into a general kind of, call it like a work session, like the town board does, an hour before their meeting, to do a work session, talk through ideas, kind of open forum discussion, come up with some thoughts, combine them, present at the ACES meeting.
But I think naturally we're going to gravitate to the things that we've been focused on previously, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Would it be just for specific action items?
Well, that's the thing,
Otherwise,
we may
it just
not need
sounds like
one
a
every
long
month.
meeting.
I think the idea is, especially this action item section at the end, maybe that's where, maybe that's the time that dictates whether we need to have a pre-meeting next month. Or no, we're good, everything's covered the next meeting, and just kind of do it on an as-needed basis,
Yeah,
I think it should be a standard.
just standing.
Yeah, I think it should be a standing thing.
Okay.
but then it's just a longer meeting, right?
Yeah, technically.
You don't
But
know
that's
the
okay.
difference between that meeting and the regular meeting.
Well, it's task orientated towards like just getting shit done.
I like the idea of basing off of the action. So there's like 5 action items after this. So we can rather than say, okay, you need to work on this between sessions, you can use that time for working on those items with anybody that needs to come into that conversation with you. I agree, it should not be mandated that everybody shows up for that hour of working time. If you don't have an action that
Oh,
is
yeah, yeah.
designed to you, or if you don't have input or you're busy, like it's okay to not go.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting myself confused. Yes.
But but I like the idea of doing it before the ACES meeting, because then you can there'd be a standing piece of the ACES meeting that'll be working report out or working session report out.
Well, I think like, you know how we did all the events and we signed up for the events, if we had a similar template for the work plan. And say, okay, on this work plan item, I plan to do this year. And then we could give an update during each meeting. We used to do that in the corporate world. We had a thing called Agile. And each meeting you gave like a 60-second update, what you did, what you planned to work on, and any issues that arise, any problems that you're facing. And it was surprising how much you could update in 15 minutes with 10 people or whatever. So I think for me personally, it's hard to meet as a group, like, throughout the month, but it'd be easy for me to work on an individual task and then report out on it. On whatever topic it is. And we could work with other people, work with other team members, but it's like somebody takes ownership for that task.
Thoughts online, Michelle?
So the two quick thoughts. I like the half hour before the meeting. We've been doing that with resource working group, and I think that time works as long as we have an action item in our to-do list like we do out of this meeting. And then we can also get Michaela to do a link for the public in case they want to join. So we'll be following our sunshine laws. I do have a question for Alexis. As we take on these individual projects, kind of like John was saying, what are we allowed or not allowed to do in terms of actions and decisions as individuals on ACES?
So actions, I think you can carry forward based on ACES direction. You're not allowed to make any decisions outside of the ACES meeting without the ACES group. And so that's why I really like the focus on the action items. I think they can relate to the larger work plan. And I think that could be a topic to bring up in ACES, but like, I'm picturing the next working group, you guys could go through the messaging. Like that was one of the action items, I think, on there, like things like that. I think it makes it more tangible, which is what I heard from you all. That was an issue with the working groups of like, what should we be working on? What topics? What can we work on? What can we not? But I think the larger discussions need to happen in ACES, which is why I like a working group focus on those action items, because they're directly a result of ACES conversation and direction. So you can do research, you can, do things based on conversation that have been directed in this meeting, but you can't be deciding things outside of the meeting on behalf of ACES, if that does that make
So like
sense.
Michelle's doing the draft of the composting,
Yeah, like we could review that next time.
and we'll approve that as an ACES meeting item.
Correct, so
So
you
we
could
could
use that.
discuss it during the working group.
Exactly.
Say, oh, I changed this word, I changed that sentence, and then we bring it to the meeting.
Yeah, so that way it always starts and ends with the meeting, right? Like you start with the action items as a result of the conversation, and then whatever's happening in those working groups, you bring back to the group to approve, like, yay, we like this flyer.
It's an action item, then we don't feel like we're wasting our time just kind of spinning our wheels.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
Does that work? Sarah, any thoughts to add?
No, I think that sounds good. I won't ever really be able to make it because unfortunately I'm gonna be virtual basically until I'm not on ACES anymore because I have a class that runs 5:30 to 6:30. But I think that's still okay.
Okay.
I'll get the
All right.
recap during the meetings anyway.
Yeah, sounds good, Sarah. All right, thanks for your input. All right, so I guess there's really nothing formal to do. I think we just kind of want to finalize our thoughts.
Well, I guess I do need a final for Michaela. We'll make a new Zoom link, but is it half an hour or an hour? I heard both.
I know, I don't think I could start any earlier than 5. Yeah, but I can push a little later. Like I could push a half hour later, like we could do a half hour before, half hour after. So we could make it like a 5 to 6 working session and 6 to 8.
Or
We,
5 to 5:30 and then 7:30 to 8. Is that what you-
Yeah.
well, no, I was just thinking moving the whole thing back. So like we have that full hour to work. If we want an hour for a working group session, then we can do that 5 to 6. And then ACES can start at 6 and ACES now goes till 8.
Seriously.
So move the
I'm
whole.
not sure.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not sure
can,
the rules of,
yeah.
yeah, I could find out if that's what you all want to do.
We could also do a half hour before, half hour after. We don't
John,
finish.
anything?
Well, I just want clarification, how will this change from what we're doing now? As far as the working group structure.
So
We won't have working groups anymore. You can focus on electrification, but you can choose something to do or have an action item that comes out of this meeting. So if you were going to build a one pager on electrification from a home resident, you would build that, bring it to that working session, and then we would be able to provide input to you on that document during that working session.
And we can do some of this on, just online throughout the month.
You can.
Yeah, but I mean, then we can just meet like half hour, 45 minutes before this meeting or something.
Right, it's trying to cut down on the meetings on multiple nights between each month.
Yeah, agreed.
I think we
mean,
could, because like Michelle put the
Yeah. That's perfect.
the spreadsheet online and we can all comment on it and then we talk about it for half an hour.
So I think rather
I
than
think half an
having
hour is fine.
3 specific work groups now, it's just gonna be like a working group work session.
Yeah.
Half an hour before is what I'm hearing,
Yeah.
and it won't be associated with any particular topic, except for that it'll be focused on the action plans, but it won't be like, the operations or resources. It's just gonna be whoever can come
Great.
based on those, and of course, you're always welcome to, like Michelle did, draft those things ahead and then bring them to that, like, nothing say you can't do work between. I think the action item to the report out to the meeting will just kind of keep that loop flowing of it coming from what ACES is discussing and bringing it back to the group so that those decisions aren't being made outside of the group.
We could try just doing half an hour just to start, and if we need more time, we can then recalibrate. So,
Yeah,
So I think if we have an agenda for that half hour and we kind of stick to it, it's like 5 minutes on this and 5 minutes on that, then we can really do.
Yeah, I think
Have
the
a
action
good
items
focus.
will have to cover, because that's, action items are now a new, I don't know if you're following the agenda, that's a new
Yeah.
standing agenda. And then I guess that 5 to 5:30 is optional, like, it's not 100% required, I mean, there is nothing ever 100% required, but yeah, just whoever can make it, wants to talk about the topic at hand, just go for it.
So can we,
You guys.
may I please
Yeah,
just add, to circle what John Shalala is saying, can we add an action item for him to work on that electrification by a resident case study, story that he'd like to do? Can we add that as an action item? So he can begin working on that individually and then bringing it through that process we just discussed?
Is that an example or is it?
I think Michelle's asking.
I'm throwing that ball back to John and let John define
I
what he
think
wants to
in
do.
general, yeah, that's a perfect example, but I'll be in Dubai and Philippines for a month, so I can't really.
So not this month,
Yeah.
so it's not an action item.
But in general, I think the action item concept is great.
Yeah.
Like, okay, here's what should be worked on or delivered by next.
And action items come out of our ACES meeting,
Mhm.
and that really didn't come out of this meeting, it was kind of just throwing it out there. So next meeting, if we're talking about electrification as a subject and it comes out that we need it for May, then that would be
Yeah, we got a
something,
couple
right?
minutes on that.
So so we're not like spinning our wheels on too many things at one time.
Yeah, perfect.
So any other thoughts on the new working group model and how it's gonna go?
So we're gonna start at 5 with the working session, 5:30 ACES meeting. And you'll update Michaela?
And I'll update Michaela, and then I know there's been some problems with that Zoom, so probably what I will do also is I will put it on my separate Zoom as opposed to the committee one, just so that we can start ACES, but because there was like an issue with starting and stopping, and I think there was something else you all couldn't do, there was an issue.
I think,
We
yeah,
could
whatever we
share
have, I mean, I
screen.
figure we're gonna, Go ahead, Michelle.
We could not share screens. So if we had a document and we were on that Zoom meeting, we didn't have the capability as a attendee to share our screen with our fellow ACES members.
Okay, I will try and make sure that all gets fixed with this new version.
Can we reserve this room a half hour before?
We should go talk to the front desk, probably. I will say, like, we'll be in here setting up while you're doing
Well,
stuff.
I was just trying to envision, you're gonna set up the Zoom link, but now if we're all sitting out here at a table, do we all have to like huddle around the computer? We're gonna
need
need
space.
feedback if
We
we're
need
all on
space.
different computers, so I was trying to think of I was thinking of the audio video side.
I think you can set up around this. I mean, the thing is, I think we should set up the owl and everything ahead of time.
Sure.
If the room is open at 5 and we're in here at 5 doing our working session, then the owl, and it has to be public. This could just be set up for our working session, and then we just end recording at the end of the working session and start recording again for ACES, right?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think just knowing that I will just be floating around the background doing
That's-
the things that I need to do, but as long as it works for the calendar.
Yeah, if it works.
Well, I'm to talk to.
Well, we could just put it on someone's phone and turn it on speaker and throw it in the middle of this.
Yeah.
I mean, has anyone had anyone join?
Never.
Never.
Yeah,
Never.
so it's more, especially if you had honestly, I don't know if this would work, but if you're doing it in person, I don't know if you want a Zoom link for each other to be able to Zoom in for that.
Do we
Yeah,
have
because
Zoom link?
I met from Pennsylvania today, so yes, I like the Zoom link, and Nikki has met virtually, so we do use a Zoom link as ACES
So more
members in the.
internal, I think,
Yeah,
but if you're technically having an in-person meeting, do the town rules say we have to do a Zoom link?
I think it's preferred to do both, but I could check with Michaela. I guess I was saying it's possibly an option if you don't want.
I mean, not to single you guys out, but we have each other's cell numbers, we could just, again, put you on a cell phone.
Yeah, why don't you see if the room's available?
Sure.
Then we can get here and go from there, because we're
Yeah.
7:26.
Yeah, I know, we're getting to the end here,
Yeah.
so, okay, I think we're going working groups.
Yeah.
Okay, vice chair elections, Nikki, I think we were just giving you some time to chew on it, are you?
I'm happy to do it if everyone else is okay with me to do it.
I nominate Nikki.
I second.
Confidence.
Okay, all right,
I just wanted to
congratulations.
cheer for you. Yay.
Yes, from unofficial to official.
Temporary.
It's never confirmed for the UN. Forever. All right, okay, well, there we go, we picked up 4.5 minutes there, Miles.
Mhm.
So now we're down to action items, which we already kind of started penciling some of those out. It sounds like a little compost worksheet from Michelle. Electrification might be a March or April
So
action item. Well,
I've got the list here, so as the draft she's gonna work on, I'm gonna talk to the folks over at EcoCycle about doing the booth for the March 15th event.
Okay,
We're all gonna review the spreadsheet that Michelle sent out, and we're gonna bring that back to the working session next time. You're going to introduce Jim to the chairs of OSAC and Parks, and you're gonna update Michaela on the meeting, the room, the link, and everything having to do with that coordination piece.
And ACES
Yeah.
members are gonna star in our compost videos, so I will follow up with
Okay.
people with bright kitchens and, for actor work.
yes, and the young people of ACES.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'd like to add an action item for Nikki to tell me what the hell I'm signed up for.
Yeah.
Okay, well, after.
And Nikki will have to speak, so.
Can I add something? I needed to get the committee's approval on something, or ask if it's something that we want to do. I mentioned the Superior event. When I spoke to Leslie, she offered us a free booth, which is great, but she asked us if we could pay for our tickets at a discounted rate. The tickets are $95 for non-members. So I'm assuming that a discounted ticket would be like $70 or something.
Cause
So-
we should be members, we pay the chamber.
Yeah, so,
So,
well, I mean, I don't know what I think the membership rate is like $75 or something.
What event? I'm sorry, I missed the event that this is for.
This is the Superior one.
Oh,
that-
Superior her. Okay.
Yeah, the women's event,
Yes, you
business
got
event.
that, yeah.
So really, I just wanted to know if that's okay, if we want to use a bit of budget to pay for like 2 tickets. And I mean, I would go because I would look after the booth. But then hopefully someone else would come with me. Michelle,
Who all
How
attends?
would have been like you,
Remind me
Lisa?
what the event's about again, like who attends and all that kind of stuff.
it's a women's event
Mhm.
and it's for women that own businesses in Superior or are working professionals in Superior, and they have breakout sessions. So it's really useful if you're trying to start up a business, because they have people that can talk to you about like tax, about branding, about marketing, and then they have like motivational speakers on leadership, women's leadership. It has an expo, so I can't remember, a lot of businesses showcase, but then there was also a bunch of other like services there, free services. I can't remember all of the companies.
So it's the idea to have like two people go with tickets purchased through our budget?
Yes.
Is that what you're doing? Okay.
Yeah, so
It's $75 for members.
yeah.
Sarah, would this be of interest to you? I mean, it sounds like a great
Yeah.
networking opportunity.
It's
Yeah, I was
10:30
thinking
to
that.
5 p.m.
It's all day on a Friday.
It's all
I
day.
can probably do that. My Fridays are pretty relaxed. So yeah, I could do that. And I would be interested in doing that. It does sound interesting, Nikki.
Yeah, it was really good when I went last time. It's
Yeah,
really,
that'd be fun.
it's good networking as well, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah, so yeah, good.
Are we allowed to approve?
Yeah, you could, I mean, someone has to make a motion.
I move to pay $150
Second,
for 2 tickets.
second.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any objections? No, okay, all right.
Thank you.
How do you do that? Do you guys have a P card or something? or
Yeah,
just
so just talk to me and I can pay for that for you.
Okay.
Have fun.
Well, I have to prepare stuff for what to talk about at the booth, so.
Yeah.
Well, I was
We
wondering
didn't talk
about
about
that too,
that.
like, whether are you just gonna, yeah, well, maybe
Put
that's.
it on an
Well,
action
when is-
item.
Yes,
When is the event?
March the 14th, so we
Okay,
have,
so that's-
time.
Oh, that's right before our next meeting.
Right after.
We should, yeah,
Okay.
if nothing else, I can get you some
Well,
material.
our next meeting is the 13th.
Oh, gosh, okay.
So we could, Zane's doing his ideas the night before, but that might be a little.
I think maybe what makes sense is if you come up with ideas working with Alexis, bring it to the working group.
Yeah.
We can, as ACES, if there's anything else we can think of on that day, we'll include it.
That's great.
Yeah, okay.
Or you could even circulate something on
Yeah.
the spreadsheet that Michelle prepared.
Okay.
Just add it to that.
All right, any final thoughts before we adjourn? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All
Second.
right, all right.
Aye.
Okay. Good job, 7:31.
Really
Thanks,
do
Jen.
have some big time.
Yeah, we did.